It's easy to take the same route. There's over 50,000 miles of California state highway, and it only takes you to well-known destinations. But if you veer off the highway system, I mean really off it, away from the city streets, far from your neighborhood boulevard, you may just find yourself on one of Bartell's back roads.
A road can get you from point A to point B, but in my line of work, an adventure is just a detour away.
These are Northern California stories, told from the Sierra mountaintops to the Valley river docks. This is Bartell's Back Road.
All right, so there's a number of different ways you can watch Bartell's Backroads. One of them is by using our interactive map. It's on abc10.com/backroads. There, you'll be able to map out your own adventure. All right, so now we're gonna go on a little boating adventure. And if you're a boat owner, you know that the worst part about the boat is backing the trailer in and out of the water. It's a little bit of a hassle, but I met a Sacramento man that got rid of the boat trailer altogether. And he likes to show it off at Discovery Park.
When Wild Bill pulls up to the boat ramp,
that is crazy.
People take notice. You see, Bill doesn't have a boat trailer, or a traditional boat for that matter. When Bill wants to hit the water, Bill hits the water at 30 miles an hour.
What's the name of this?
It's called an amphicar.
The boat car was manufactured in West Germany, and less than 4,000 rolled off the assembly line. And Wild Bill owns one of just a few hundred amphicars still on the road. The amphicar is a one-of-a-kind vehicle, but there's one potential problem that's always on Bill's mind.
You ever worry about this thing leaking?
You're not supposed to say the L word.
Oh.
Amphicars are prone to taking on water, but if Bill's feet do get wet, all he has to do is drive up on land.
You can't live without water, but if you want to live a long time, you should try out the magnesium-rich waters in the hills of Patterson. Some say that the fountain of youth is in Stanislaus County. Many people get their water from the convenience of their kitchen sink. But here at Adobe Springs in Patterson, Ben and David Leonard drove more than an hour to get their water from a hose.
It's some of the best water in the world, apparently.
High magnesium.
High magnesium content.
Magnesium, it's a common element found in fireworks, but it's also an essential mineral for human health.
All the rocks around here are magnesium rich.
Paul Mason would know. He owns Adobe Springs, and the state health department regularly tests his water.
How much magnesium is in this water here?
Well, normal bottled water has 1 to 5 milligrams of magnesium per liter. We have 110 milligrams per liter.
The National Institute of Health found that Americans are not getting enough magnesium in their diet, and adding more of it to a balanced diet is proven to prevent or treat everything from diabetes to constipation.
No, there's no real fountain of youth that I know of, but this is the closest thing that I can think of.
Summer is gardening season, but springtime is tulip season. If you like gardening and if you like flowers, head up to Ananda Hill in Nevada County. There's a spectacular show. The color green normally dominates this area of Nevada County.
Beauty and the color, I mean, there's so much color.
But for about 6 weeks out of the year, a portion of the hillside turns the color tie-dye.
Welcome to Nevada City. It's peak tulip season at Ananda Village.
We're in the middle of Crystal Hermitage Gardens, where we have 17,000 tulips planted this year.
This is Nancy Mayer, designer of the tulip display.
I've been in the gardens 30 years.
It's Nancy's job to maintain a certain peacefulness and spirituality in the garden.
This is open to anyone of any faith.
Ananda Village is a spiritual and wellness-based community open to the public.
We'll have over 8,000 people in the course of 4 to 5 weeks.
And it's not hard to find peace here. There's over 108 different varieties of tulips that seem to attract the attention of all ages.
If you haven't already guessed, it's a pretty good spot to take a selfie. Why'd the chicken cross the road? It's an age-old question, but if you're in Sutter County, that question gets asked a lot. In Yuba City, the chickens rule the road.
Yuba City has what some may call a chicken problem. The origin of the chickens is not clear, but the birds have left their mark on the doorstep of the county visitor center and made nests along Franklin Road.
Anyway, they cross the road with the lights.
Wait, they cross the roads with the light?
With the lights.
Now, I didn't see any chickens use the crosswalk, but maybe more of them should.
This one didn't make it across the road.
The chickens seem to have been here a while, so I went to get some answers at the Sutter County Museum.
Oh, the chickens are a local staple. Everyone loves the chickens and everyone asks about the chickens.
Curator Jessica Hewen can tell you a lot about Yuba City history. Unfortunately, historical record left out the chickens. Yuba City gets its chicken from a variety of poultry-themed restaurants.
There's also a lot of chicken restaurants around here. Oh, I know. I don't know. No coincidence?
Instead of trying to solve the chicken mystery, Yuba City embraces the birds.
Lunchboxes these days are complex and cumbersome. If you miss the days of the simple box and thermos, you may want to head over to Lake County, to the little town of Nice, to the Lunchbox Museum.
This is Clark's Collectibles, better known as the Lunchbox Museum.
We have a little bit of everything in here.
Yeah, yes you do.
Deb Clark and her husband started the Odd Collection back in 1985.
How many lunchboxes do you have?
900.
900.
About maybe a little bit more.
Deb has more lunchboxes than there are days in the year.
Now these are not for sale?
No, but they try to get them from me. Yeah.
Now, if you thought the Lunchbox Collection was weird, wait till you see the back of the store.
Well, this is my husband's collection.
Deb's husband collects and refurbishes old animatronic robots. Some of them date back to the 1930s. It's hard to put a price tag on the collection, but Deb says that she has the place insured for about $250,000.
What is your fascination with these lunchboxes?
Well, the first thing is I have issues. My mother threw my Barbie lunchbox away because I spilled milk in it.
Some may say that Deb's childhood tragedy has turned into an obsession, but to her, it's nothing like that.
I just think it's fun. I just have fun. You know, you gotta have fun.
Well, some people collect classic cars, but what about collecting vintage buses? They take up some space in the garage, but one Williams man is doing just that. Next stop, Colusa County.
At first glance, this may look like a junkyard.
Everything's a little jammed in here.
But I can assure you it's more of a museum than it is a scrap heap.
This particular bus is one of 2 ever built like it.
This is Ted Campbell, but everyone around here calls him Busman Ted.
The newer buses don't have any style.
Ted loves old buses so much that he's dedicated the later part of his life to preserving them.
This is 1956.
I like puzzles. I do them a lot.
Hollywood knows Ted pretty well. His buses have been in a number of films, most recently the movie Zodiac.
Did you get to meet Jake Gyllenhaal in Zodiac?
No.
Ted admits you won't get rich or famous collecting old buses, but for him, it works.
Yeah, it's fun. See, I've never considered it work.
This bus stop may not take you anywhere, but Ted says he'll leave the door open for you if you want to visit.
All right, so navigating the back roads can be difficult. That's why I did it for you. Head over to abc10.com/backroads and check out our interactive map. When we come back, we head up to Sierra County for the ultimate camping trip. All right, so we're continuing our journey through some of my favorite back roads. Northern California has some pretty good camping, but I found the ultimate camping spot up in Sierra County, where you can stay in a real live fire lookout.
The Sierraville Ranger Station doesn't get too many visitors. The small office off Highway 89 is pretty quiet.
27 to 37%.
We are going to Calpine.
That's because the real attraction around here
Just follow me.
is 13 miles from Sierraville in the Tahoe National Forest.
This seems pretty remote out here.
It is remote. It is remote.
It takes a good set of tires to get there.
Calpine was built in the 1930s.
And if you can look past the chipped and peeling paint, the Calpine Fire Lookout will provide you with one of the most spectacular views in the Sierra.
So back in the day, this was used to look for fires, but nowadays...
It's used for recreation.
Calpine is just one of about a dozen fire lookouts that you can camp in California.
All right, just some words of advice here. You're gonna wanna bring your own toilet paper. This government-issued one-ply stuff, not so good. Missing a hubcap? And maybe on a fence in Pope Valley. They've been collecting on a ranch there since 1933. Next up, we're heading up to Napa County, to the Hubcap Museum.
Hubcaps from just about every make and model can be found hanging, nailed up, or in a pile.
You can see the older ones, they go back into the 40s.
In the early 1930s, Leo DeMonte hung up a lost hubcap on his fence. Then he found another one, then another one, and another one.
Hubcaps go on the fence line all the way around.
Lito passed away in 1985. These days, his grandson Mike DeMonte watches over the place.
Well, if you think Hubcap Ranch is just a crazy roadside attraction, think again. It's actually a historic landmark.
He was what they call the folk artist. You don't call him a hubcap collector.
Not only is this place a historic landmark, Hubcap Ranch was also a landmark for the U.S. parachute team.
They could see this place from way up in altitude because there was shiny areas.
Lito lost count of the hubcaps over the years, so it's a little hard to say how many there are. But if the gates open, feel free to count them for yourself.
It's the last of its kind and it was almost lost. Knight's Foundry built the machines that helped build California. It was rusting away until a group of volunteers restored it. We're gonna head over to Amador County and see it in action.
This is Knight's Foundry in Sutter Creek.
Knight was one of the earliest implementers here in the Mother Lode area.
Samuel Knight's invention of the Knight wheel changed the world. The cup-shaped water wheel used high-pressure water to power mining equipment, hydroelectric generators, sawmills, and, of course, the Knight's Foundry.
Some of the stuff that was made in the shop here was shipped as far as South America and Africa.
Knight's Foundry is no longer a production facility. It's a classroom that teaches old-school techniques to a newer generation.
You can see throughout the building, anywhere we have a machine, we transfer power from the main shaft through another series of daughter shafts and belts.
The complex distribution of this primitive power has a certain beauty. The machines move slowly, so you can see how they work and what work was like in an early era. Sex! It's a part of life. And in the animal kingdom, newts go to great lengths to find a mate. I found that out at the gates of Yosemite. Next stop, Tuolumne County. Every year in the Yosemite National Park area, newts and other amphibians make their way out of the forest and into the Merced River to find a mate. Along the way, they run into a number of man-made obstacles.
Where's this guy headed?
This one looks like a female probably migrating out from the river, so she might have just recently laid eggs.
Right now, we're on Incline Road, a migration path just outside the park.
Unfortunately, we have a roadway between their uplands, and where they breed is along side pockets and slow water areas of the river. Roads globally for amphibians next to disease and habitat loss are probably one of the leading factors of decline.
Life is tough for these little guys, and it doesn't get any easier on the other side.
What is this right here? What's going on?
We're standing at one of these love nests on the side of the river. You can see some newts wrestling right here.
Rob calls it wrestling, but if you ask me, that's not what it is. The amphibian is fascinating and mysterious, and we don't know everything about them.
We have little information about where they go, where they spend their life.
But someday, the newts may not be such a mystery.
Modern-day cash registers are nothing like they used to be. Most of them don't even have buttons anymore. You can call it a sign of the times, or you can head up to Taylorsville, where they take your money the old-fashioned way. Next stop, Plumas County, home of the oldest working cash register.
We're in Plumas County. We're a little tiny grocery store up here in the mountains.
Taylorsville is home to the nation's oldest cash register.
This cash register has been here for 103 years.
The register has a lot of character, but not as much as the town itself.
They call me Old Grizz.
If the beaver trap collection or the Grand Poobah chair doesn't catch your attention, maybe the old spring-loaded dance floor will.
And this is safe, huh? Oh yeah.
Taylorsville is rich with tradition, but you better bring cash because credit is only for locals.
Let's go to the tavern!
And if you're into taxidermy, check out the tavern.
That's Badger.
It's not Christmas, but Santa's got some competition on this next story. A jolly old man in Ripon is making toys for kids. I met up with him at his workshop in San Joaquin County.
Around here, Ernie is known as the Toy Man. It's not uncommon to find him at the local McDonald's or the neighborhood restaurant, handing out wooden red and yellow cars.
Where do these cars come from?
I make them.
Ernie spends most of the day here at his wood shop in Ripon. The 85-year-old is a retired engineer from Lockheed Martin, but he fine-tuned his carpentry skills in the military.
You name it, I would probably make it.
Ernie produces about 20 cars a day. The signature shape is Ernie's design, but he got some inspiration from his favorite sports car. It's hard to say exactly how many cars Ernie has given away.
I probably made 5,000. But I like to see their looks on their face, because I didn't have kids or toys when I was growing up.
All right, so I'm gonna take a little break, and I think you should too. Hey, while we're gone, you should check out abc10.com/backroads. There's an interactive map that I think you'll like. When we come back, I'm gonna introduce you to a guy who converted his whole house into a gas station museum. Wouldn't it be nice to go back to a day when you could pay for fuel with just the change in your pocket? Well, there's a place in Yolo County where you can go relive those frugal fuel days. Next stop, Woodland, the gas station museum.
I'll tell you what I tell other people, pull my finger, you get all the gas you want.
This is Mark Reeve. He won't sell you any gas, but he'll be happy to show you his gas station museum.
Well, I bought a gas pump 18 years ago around the corner of the garage sale, and this is what's happened.
From 1909 to 1959, Mark has quite the display.
I've probably got about 25, 30 here.
Mark didn't just stop with the pumps, he grabbed anything and everything gas station related. He even restored a 1956 Chevy tow truck to complete the ensemble, but just like the gas station, don't expect to get your car towed.
Oh no, no.
Mark didn't have a hard time finding all this memorabilia. You see, back in the day, Woodland was the place to buy gas.
Gas stations in the 50s, down Main Street alone, there were some 63 gas stations.
Mark doesn't charge for a tour of the gas station museum, and that's probably why it attracts a diverse crowd.
I've had 17 pinup shoots here over the years.
I guess you could say the gas station museum is also the ultimate bachelor pad.
Those high gas prices got you down? Don't worry, some backwood mechanics may have a solution for you. We head out to El Dorado County in Placerville, where some guys converted their car to run off of wood.
The nearest gas station is about a 3-mile drive from the Nixon family property in Placerville.
This is Whiteleaf Manzanita.
It's really not a far drive, but Guy Nixon has all the fuel he needs right here. That's because his father, Bill Nixon, drives an eco-friendly classic.
What is this thing that we're in?
Basically a 1913 Model T Ford.
Under the hood, the 105-year-old petroleum-powered engine is relatively stock, but the fuel tank in the back has a lot of modifications.
This is the fuel?
That's the fuel.
These are wood chips.
Yep.
This is the Backdraft Wood Gasifier, one of the few cars that run on wood. The wood-powered car may seem like a revolutionary power source, but the technology's not new. Gasifier technology was often used during fuel shortages in World War II. These days, petroleum-powered cars are king of the road, but maybe someday, wood will make a comeback.
You may know them as sea monkeys, but these novelty aquatic pets are actually called brine shrimp. These guys are not just disappointing toys, they're actually fish food, and they're harvested in the waters of Mono Lake. This is what you guys are after.
This is what we're after.
These oddly shaped pouches floating in the water are finely woven nets that capture the microscopic shrimp.
Basically a giant sausage on the end we have clipped shut, and then we just work down little portions, pick them up and pour them in our tank.
Mono Lake is really the only place in the US where you can naturally and legally harvest brine shrimp. there's plenty of them.
So they estimate there's about 6 trillion brine shrimp born every year.
Today's catch will be headed to pet stores around the world. Brine shrimp from Mono Lake is premier food for exotic fish. It takes a crew of about 12 people to clean, process, package, and freeze the shrimp before they're shipped off to distributors.
They go around the world, Ecuador, Mexico, Indonesia, all over the place.
California property prices out of your budget, you may want to consider some property on the moon. A Rio Vista man is selling 16 billion acres of lunar land out of a golf course in Solano County.
It may be hard to believe, but there really is a guy selling moon property on the golf course.
This is a wonderful golf course. It's challenging.
His name is Dennis Hope.
I sell property on the moon, Mars, Venus, Io, and Mercury.
According to Siri, Dennis is the real deal.
The owner of the moon is Dennis Hope.
He pioneered lunar real estate and sold over 7 million properties and counting. The moon market is so good that Dennis can afford to spend most of his days right here at the golf course in Rio Vista.
This is my only source of income and has been for the last 23 years.
Dennis has been interviewed more than 4,000 times on TV shows and in magazines, and he even sold property to some very well-known people.
George Lucas, Ron Howard, Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, 3 former presidents of the United States.
Dennis may not be able to visit his lunar properties.
My identification for being president of the galactic government.
So for right now, he plans on governing it right here from the Rio Vista golf course.
Northern California's backyard is an amazing place, and the Backroads are a great way to experience it. You can create your own road map by visiting ABC10's Backroads website. It's an interactive map that'll allow you to experience a number of California's little-known places. If you have any ideas on where I should go next, send me a message on my Facebook page. I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads. Hey, thanks for watching, and check out some more videos just like this. Also, be sure and subscribe, and write in the comments what other areas I should check out.